Hi, everybody. Today we are having a conversation with Samantha Dion Baker. She's coming to teach a workshop here in Apex, North Carolina in May, at the end of May, a 2-day in-person workshop. So we wanted to have a chat with her so you get to know her a little bit more. So I'm going to read a quick introduction and then I will start asking her questions. So Samantha Dion Baker graduated from the Cooper Union in New York City and spent over 20 years working as a graphic designer. Now a full-time illustrator and artist, her favorite thing to do is wander the city streets and travel with her family, drawing all the things she does, eats, and sees on the pages of her sketch journal. Originally from Philadelphia, Samantha lives and works in Brooklyn with her husband and 2 boys. She's the author of Draw Your Day, the Draw Your Day sketchbook, Draw Your World, Draw Your Day for Kids, and coming very soon, Draw Your Adventures. So welcome, Samantha.
You.
So I wanted to start asking you, how did you start your creative life?
Oh, I was born into a creative life. My mother and my grandmother and my grandfather, even on my father's side, but everyone on my mother's side, they're all artists. So I literally grew up in an art studio because my mother was working and for a while was single. A little drama. My parents are married again, but there was a little bit of time where they were separated. And during that time, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, who was a sculptor. So I was just in her studio drawing and playing around with her pencils and Caran d'Ache
Okay,
tools.
and then you studied graphic design in college.
Yeah, I decided to go to school for design because there was so much fine art in my family and there was so much talent that I didn't actually think I could do that, or I didn't know if I wanted to. I wanted to be a little more practical. And so I went into design. I went to a fine art school. Cooper Union is a fine art school, but they also have a very strong design program. So I kind of focused more on design. And then, yeah, just kind of worked as a designer in the art world. So I did a lot of work with galleries and museums.
Okay.
Lots of invitations and gallery booklets and art books and magazines and booklets and catalogs. And so we're not super creative because I was showing, the main purpose was to show other people's artwork. So the design was very minimal and clean. And then I went into starting my own design firm.
Okay.
We did a lot of work with events and still working with some art galleries and museums, but a lot of private events. So we had a lot of fun.
And how did you go from that to drawing and sketchbooks and all of that?
So because everything was on the computer and I was busy, with clients and doing my more practical art design, the hands-on creative, like getting my hands dirty, just got ignored and fell to the side. And when I had my kids and they were little, I decided to pick up a sketchbook again and practice drawing. And a lot of it was very design oriented drawing. I did a lot with lettering and playing with, illustrating quotes and things that were comfortable because I was so focused on typography and design. And then like arranging pages, and then one thing led to another, and I started just drawing the different things that we did every day like a diary. And now here we are. So it's been a long journey, but not planned. It's all been, yeah.
And were you inspired by anybody when you switched to this drawing on sketchbooks and drawing what you saw every day?
Not specifically. There's so many artists that I love that my work was coming out nothing like, so
Okay.
I actually really was surprised at what was coming out, and I didn't even know if I liked it. It was just play and experimenting and just evolved. As the practice got further along and more established, and things started, people started following me. I guess I was influenced. I kind of picked up on certain artists a little bit more, and like I love Pierre Latin. He's an illustrator that I mean I've loved his work forever, but working with ink and
Mm-hmm.
watercolor, there's people like resonated a little bit more because
Okay.
he designed and illustrated a lot of New Yorker covers and illustration with lettering. So like I'm looking at some of his stuff on my attack board right now. Um, but I was surprised because my practice came very authentically, just within, and so it wasn't modeled after anyone or anything.
Okay. Okay.
Like it just happened, and it was designed so like I was more focused on like how I was going to arrange the pages and plan it and draw this adventure with words and pictures, more so than like developing a like a distinct technique.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes, I
So
understand.
yeah,
Yes. And I imagine graphic design background also informed your decisions for your journaling and your sketching.
greatly. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
designing the pages and all of that. So how often how often do you draw? And do you do this practice as a daily practice, or how do you do it?
Um, so when I was starting to like have a real regular routine with it,
Mhm.
and I saw the benefits and I saw how I was evolving and changing. And then I also saw like how my kids got a little bit involved and they would watch over my shoulder, and it just became this sort of beautiful thing that and I saw the growth, and then social media became addictive because I was sharing it. And so it kind of got like a little bit impulsive, like
Mhm.
or compulsive, like I had to do it every day. So there were a bunch of years where I did a page every single day. I don't even know how I did it because my kids were little. I don't know. I was crazy about it. Like I don't know how I managed to compose and finish and create a page every day. Some of it, I have little tricks that are quicker for me.
Mhm.
So those some days where it was easy. Like I'm just going to do it this way today because it's easier and quicker. Um, so but then it changed, and after Draw Your Day, I took a breather. So from like 2016 to 2018, I did a page every single day. Like
Okay.
um and it was like brushing my teeth. Like I had to finish it. And then now fast forward to today, I do probably 1 to 4 pages a week.
Okay. Okay.
So sometimes I won't finish something. I'm always drawing, but sometimes it's for a client, sometimes it's for teaching. So I have different sketchbooks when I'm working on something in a class situation. So I
Okay.
would say I'm still drawing every day for
Yes.
at least at least an hour or so,
Okay.
but it because it's become my job.
Exactly.
The personal drawing is like, sometimes I only have time to do a page a week.
Okay. And when were you doing when you did it daily? Did you do it at like a certain time every day, like in certain order, and like you woke up, brush your teeth, have breakfast, and then draw? Or it was just whenever you found something that you wanted to draw?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it became in this sort of like adventure of like what do I want to draw today? What do I want to remember? Um, you know,
Oh,
the days with little kids, they pass so quickly.
yes.
And, you know, some days you're just doing nothing but playing Legos and doing laundry, so
Yes.
that's what I would draw.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was more like also like a diary. Like,
It's yeah, I mean, Draw Your Day is um an inspiring guide to keeping a sketch journal. So the journal factor, the diary journal is like half of it. I mean, it's
okay,
an art practice, but it's also a diary.
exactly. Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that because how, you don't need anything else. So it's just whatever is happening in your day, what do you want to remember from that day? I really love
exactly.
that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and now, can you tell me a little bit more about the tools that you use? What's your favorite tool for drawing or your favorite sketchbook? Do you have any?
Well, for years, all those years where I was doing a page a day, I was working in a moleskin sketchbook.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't have very good paper, which is strange. And then I was working with someone from Creative Art Materials who they distribute Caran d'Ache in the US, and we've become friends. He came to my studio and he was looking through my sketchbooks and he was like, "This is a shame. Like, why are you working on this paper? Your work needs to
Stay, survive
be."
longer.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, and he like I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't know. I'm OCD. I mean, clearly the daily practice was like a little bit obsessive compulsive. I had to finish. And what I loved about it is that every book lined up perfectly on the shelf. And I finished a page exactly the same size every day. And so I just kind of went with it. And I scan a lot of the pages so that I have a record and a
Mhm.
backup on the computer. Um, but anyway, I upgraded.
And
Uh,
he gave you a better option. He told you,
I mean, it took a long time for me to figure out what to do. So I tried a few different things. I did try with a friend who has a company that she makes beautiful things. Margot Kent, she has it's called Peg and All, and they
Peganol.
make really beautiful bags and this artist roll where you keep and we worked together on creating a sketchbook that was the same size as Draw Your Day. It's
Mhm.
not quite square, but almost. And it's a unique size. Most sketchbooks are not this size. Um, but then I realized that I could do this. So, and we decided together, she said, yeah, you should just make them because then I could use the exact paper that I wanted to. So I use Arches hot press watercolor paper because I like smooth. I don't like cold press for me.
Mhm.
And I make them myself. So
Ah,
yeah, I've been making them for I don't know, it's 4 or 5 years
mhm.
now. But when I'm teaching or when I tell people what to buy, I pulled this out
Uh-huh.
in anticipation of this question. I do love this one. It's the handbook journal, linen.
Handbook journal. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yes. It's okay. We can probably add that later. I can put
yeah.
it. Yes. So
The
it's the
paper
handbook
is
journal.
handbook journal with the linen cover, and I really love this size. So
What
yeah,
size it is?
I think it's 8 by 8 or 8.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
And the paper is similar to the one that you use, like,
Yeah, it's a little bit more, it has a little bit more texture, but it's not very, it's sort of I would say I mean, I think it's listed as cold press, but
okay.
it's smoother than, um, very like coarse, toothy cold press.
Oh, good.
And, yeah, I love it. The paper is wonderful. So,
Oh, that's good to know
um,
because there are so many sketchbooks out there that
yeah,
it's impossible. Like, you have like to buy one each month until you get to the one you love. So it's good to know which one we can start with.
yeah,
Um,
I love this one and I will recommend it to anyone who comes to our workshop.
okay.
And then also Stillman and Byrne makes a really nice one that I always recommend as well.
Stillman. Okay.
Stillman and Byrne, yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, there's so many, but
And for drawing, any specific tool?
yeah, so some sketchbook artists and like people who draw the world around like urban sketchers, they don't really use a lot of pencil. Um, And just, you know, teaching drawing in general, like pencil can be a little bit of a crutch because you know you can erase.
Mhm.
But because I plan my pages, and I design them, like the pencil process is very important to me. So I always encourage, you know, a light sketch with a pencil just to like establish a little plan. And then my personal process is then ink, and I use um, platinum carbon ink, so it's permanent.
Okay.
And I use usually a fountain pen with
A
a
fountain pen.
yeah, I use
And
fountain.
they still exist, the ones that you have to put the cartridge at the back when to refill it and all that?
Yeah, I actually have to refill these. I use Lamy fountain pens or the platinum, actual platinum
Yes.
fountain pen that I bought in Paris, but you can find it anywhere, and they use the cartridges.
Oh,
Um,
good. I used them for it was mandatory to use ink in my high school. So
yes,
I
yeah,
reused the cartridges and but I bought them in like in turquoise in those crazy
yeah.
colors.
Yeah, a lot of times the cartridges don't use waterproof ink.
Okay.
So, you know, if you were to paint over it, the ink would bleed. So and India ink sometimes people will use, but it doesn't really, it's still not quite as permanent. So
Okay.
I really love the
Carbon.
platinum ink. Um,
Okay.
you have to be careful. There's like little kind of, there's little granules in it. So it can clog some
Yeah,
pen.
the tip of the pen. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, but I have a Substack and a paid portion.
Mhm.
All of my favorite tools and how I make my sketchbook and all these things are
Are
there
in
for,
there.
yeah. So I
Oh,
encourage you.
I love Substack. I'm really thinking about switching to Substack, like for me to use it
Yes.
for the
Yeah.
newsletter.
If you
But
want
yes,
to, we can talk about that after this.
so
Yeah.
everybody go to Substack to see Samantha's tools that she has in there.
Yeah.
Um, and my next question, what motivates you to draw? You said before that when you saw the benefits of sketching and drawing, you kept going. So what is that motivation that makes you draw every day or most days?
Well, um, I mean, I would say that it's just the growth and the change and getting addicted to that. You know, I got really used to the feeling of being frustrated, you know, and it learn, you know, once you practice something enough, and it's so humbling because you're always making mistakes and things don't never rarely look the way they are in your head
Mhm.
on paper, you know. Um, but I got conditioned to this feeling, and it kind of became like, oh, you know, I can like sort of scratch this itch every day. And sometimes I'll fail, sometimes I'll succeed. Sometimes I think I failed, and then the next day I look back and I'm like, oh,
I
I
like
actually
it.
like that.
Mhm.
You know, I always tell people to you know, look with fresh eyes the next
Mhm.
day or even a week later. Like if you're working in a studio on a painting, it's just good to close the door because you get
Yeah.
so close to it, you know. So all these like mental things, I love it. I just love pushing myself. I love the feeling of little successes. If I make a drawing that I love, you know, that I'm happy with, it it makes me feel good in every other way, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, it's subtle. It's like it's just a little bit of it's just, you know, like anything, like
Mhm.
exercise. If you run a faster mile or if you, I don't know, learn a new
Instrument or
skill in
language.
knitting,
Yes.
or you know, you can play a song that you never
Mhm.
could
Yeah.
quite get before. All these little victories, they're really meaningful. And then, you know, the world is so heavy and hard, and there's so many things going on that this is like it's like therapy. It's like an escape. Um,
Exactly, exactly. It's very similar. All you said is the same I tell my students about daily painting.
yeah.
Like they're the same benefits. Like the more you do it, the better you get, and then you have the chance to improve
Mhm.
because they're tiny. You can do it, and if you don't like it, you do another one next day. So yes, yes. So they're the same benefits, and they're
Yeah, and
yeah.
art making is always, you know, two steps forward, one step back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and sometimes it's five steps forward and then
20 back.
20 back, like you just,
Yes.
it's just not, it's not a straight path.
No.
Um, and also when you think you've arrived somewhere, like, oh, now I can draw people. I couldn't draw people. I was afraid to draw people for so long. Now I'm more comfortable with it. I pushed myself and pushed myself. But now it's like, well, now I want to draw something else that's challenging, like once
Finding, yes.
there's always another mountain to climb.
There,
It's always
always.
like, yeah, yeah,
Always. It can be as simple like for painting, like you do something and then you said, oh, that green is so interesting. So I want to learn how to mix that specific green. So my next painting will have something with that green so I can make it better. So
yeah.
yes, there is always something that challenges you to do another one or to motivate you to do another one. So I love that. So why did you start teaching? Like, why and when did you start teaching?
Well, that kind of came similarly to the writing because I didn't really think of myself as a writer. I also
Mhm.
didn't know that I was a teacher. I had a job as an art director very young, like 26 years old. I got a job as an art director. So I had a team of people that I was running. And I actually don't think I was very good at it then. So I had this idea in my head because I think I was kind of good at it, but not like you need to build up to that kind of
Mhm.
position,
Yes.
it just sort of happened. And so I had this idea in my head that, I don't know, it's because it's a little similar to teaching. You have to run a group of people and manage them and tell them, you know. Um, so I don't, I didn't know that it just didn't know that I could teach, and it wasn't a planned thing, but it happened really authentic and naturally with when Draw Your Day came out. I started doing some workshops. And at first I was so nervous because I couldn't even talk to five people in the room. I'm just an introvert. I'm shy. Um, and now I can get up and talk in front. It's the same thing, like you condition yourself, you
Yes.
train yourself. And so once I could get the words out with confidence, because that was the biggest hurdle, then it was just, because I knew I had so much to share and teach,
Mhm.
but it was like the shyness and the fear around it, and this idea that I was like not good at like talking to a whole group of people, that was holding me back. And so anyway, it happened after Draw Your
After
Day.
the first
I
book.
did a few workshops. I didn't want to do readings and like perform when the book came out. I didn't want to do like book readings because
Okay.
I was more motivated to help people do the
To
same thing.
draw. Mhm.
Yeah. So, so yeah, it just happened. And then
So
Skillshare.
first was the book and then teaching.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The teaching
Okay.
came after. So I've only been teaching since 2018.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's a long time, We're
yeah, I know we're
2025.
not. It's like the years have flown by.
Go by so fast.
Um,
Yes.
I know, gosh. Yeah, it's been how long? 7 years?
7 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, that's great. So I always thought first was teaching and then the book, but it's interesting that first was the book and then teaching because of course you needed to talk about your book in front of people, and
Yeah.
that's when that happened.
Yeah.
And so now you're teaching workshops, and I saw you're teaching abroad too. To
Hmm.
you go to other countries to teach. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So
So
I do like 2-hour workshops. I do private lessons. I teach on Skillshare. I have
mhm,
a bunch of classes on Skillshare. I'm trying to figure out maybe some more of that. I teach with Substack, the
mhm.
paid level. Um, I teach and do meetups with guest artists and have people come on and we draw together, and that's twice a month.
Okay.
Um,
Online. So you get together online
yeah, like a
and
Zoom like this. Yeah.
okay.
So people join from all over the world, and then whoever can't be there gets the recording.
Okay.
I'm constantly teaching. It's
That's
like, yeah,
awesome.
it's now part, it's like, I would say, because I know you're going to get to this question, like, how do I
Yes.
make money?
So that's part of the
So
answer.
yeah, we can get to that. I don't know if that's where we are
Yes,
yet.
we'll get to there, I think
Yeah.
soon. So, but before we get to that, what do you love to teach the most? Because you know each artist, you know, I prefer to teach about color. I prefer to talk about composition. What do you prefer to teach the most, and why?
For me, it's ideas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like what to draw, like
Mhm.
ideas of what to draw, how to draw it,
Mhm.
where to put the thing. Okay, okay. Oh,
Yeah, ideas, like what kind of story do you want to tell through your drawing? And it can come out so many different ways. I mean, walking your dog can be drawn,
many ways. Hmm.
millions of ways. So, sometimes it's completely abstract and just based on color that you see. And sometimes it's collage, sometimes it's a super realistic drawing of your hand holding a leash to your
Hmm.
dog. Like I mean, there can be so
Many
many
ways.
ways. So it's more like how you want to communicate with your future self and what you want to remember and holding on to, really nice moments, and finding the joy and the beauty. Like,
Hmm.
like that, that's what, and when we do the workshop, it's going to be a lot about, you know, um, draw your adventures. So it'll be a lot about, how you got there and what was your journey like and what do you want to, get out of this and who are you inspired by in the room or what did you see along the way or, what's out the window to what did you wear? How are your shoes comfortable to, I mean, a
Okay,
million things, there's so many ideas and ways of communicating our adventures.
exactly. It's wonderful. It's more the story you want to tell,
Yeah,
more than how to draw a shoe. It's
right.
more what story you want to tell.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's
But if
wonderful.
somebody wants my help drawing their shoe, I do understand perspective and proportion and, in Draw Your World, my second book, it goes into detail of all these technical things that you can take or leave.
Hmm.
But if you do want to represent what's actually happening in space, in the world, you can do that in a very realistic way if you choose to. And if you choose to, there are things that are actually happening, like, things get smaller as they go out and back in space. This this is, like if you're drawing me, where my glasses fall on my head, and there's all these little things that I can walk people through as they're drawing and
Okay,
help them if they choose to draw in the way that I do,
representational
because
way.
I draw things realistically.
Hmm.
So a lot of times people will take my classes thinking they want to draw similarly to me. And so I
Okay.
have to respect that and I understand that. So, and if that's the case, I can help people. Does that
Oh,
make
that's
sense?
yes. So what does your workshop participants can expect to get out of these 2 days with you?
Um, well, you get out of it what you bring to it.
Yes.
Um, like I would say, if you're taking a watercolor class, you learn watercolor technique. Um, with with me, it's sort of more about embracing your own the lines that you make and where you are in the moment,
Hmm.
and appreciating it and owning it and working through what comes from your hand and in the moment that you're in. Like, not all of us, you can't come to a 2-day workshop and suddenly be you know
Expert.
an
Uh-huh.
expert. you know
Yes,
it
yes.
takes years.
Hmm.
Even then, it's like, as we said, where do you end? There's no end. So it's more just, embracing where you are, um, appreciating. You learn like an appreciation for um, just little things, you know, little things to big things, but uh, we will go into some exercises. We will talk about composition. We will talk about you know, planning the page, and um, from specific. I mean, everybody's going to have a totally different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come to my classes, the goal is not to be, you know, oh, all of us are going to paint this vase of flowers, and we're going to paint it in oil. That's lovely and valid, and I need to take more of those classes, but that's not kind of what's going to happen, because everybody's going to have their own version of the vase of flowers for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they, you know, you come away with, hopefully, excited to, you
To
know,
keep going.
we keep going, to draw things that you see in your own beautiful way, you know.
Exactly.
So
And how do you structure your workshops day? So there are moments where you demo or moments, how does it work?
yeah, so we start with some basic drawing, really loosening up, doing continuous line and some blind contour, and getting to know the pencil and what you can do with a line. Because you know, a lot of times people are very insecure. So this is to loosen people up. Then we'll go into exercises like layering things, like something completely different over something else, and planning how you can arrange that on a page. So, and most of this was with the pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, you know, we will talk a lot about ideas. I will ask people to bring things.
Okay.
Um, they'll, right before we meet, I'm gonna get everybody's email, and I'm gonna tell people, prompt people to think about, you know, think about these and things and this thing, and, you know, colors that you see, to something physical that you can take from your adventures to Apex.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, like something that you ate, a ticket stub, a business card for a restaurant, the bag that you got your uh
Your
morning
chocolate
muffin,
from,
your
exactly.
muffin in, a tea bag, little,
Mhm.
like something that, like, ephemera from actually your day or your day before, and we'll work on collage. Yeah, I mean, I haven't fully planned a 2-day workshop yet. I have a plan for 5 days, and then also for smaller workshops. So I'm going to be designing this so that
It's
we can
going to
get
be
as much as we can in the
in
2 days.
2 days. No,
Yeah.
no, that's going to be wonderful. And you answered my next question because I was thinking the title of the workshop is Draw Your Adventures, but we're going to be sitting in a classroom. So I say, how are we going to draw? So you already answered. So they're going to bring some things from their adventures that they can add. Are they working from photographs or is, yes?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I do discourage people in a workshop to be staring at their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have to think and talk about that. If if ideally you can print some images out, you can work from imagination and memory. That's best also. And then also drawing in the moment from life.
Okay.
So there'll be a combination, and I'll talk through all of that, and, you know,
Yeah.
little things that people can look for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's a combination.
Yes, well, and being there is an adventure. So going to Apex for a 2-day workshop with you is an adventure. So
Yes.
I guess they can use anything that is around them for that adventure.
Yeah, it's just to get people thinking, like, as you go about your world and your life, even if it's just, you know, walking around the block. And my book, I'm hoping that by then I have an advanced copy of it. So we'll be looking at the book, or I'll at least reference it a lot. Um, you know, there's so many things that we take for granted that are great
Yes.
for drawing, for subject, you know.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So Samantha, after we talk all that we have said, I think you already said some of this, but I want you to tell me what do you think is the main benefit of drawing often?
I think it is this a new way of seeing the world, you know.
Mhm.
I think it's just it's if you're thinking and finding things to draw, you see everything so differently.
Yeah.
And then actually focusing on that thing, whether it's the chair you're sitting in to a big beautiful monument that you are sitting under and you're drawing it from life to, you know, the ice cream cone in your hand, like whatever it is, you have this full appreciation of it
Mhm.
if you stop and draw it.
And notice. Yes, yes. No, that's wonderful. And that works for, you know, everything in painting. It's the same. So I think they're so connected. And I have a doubt when I was thinking about this workshop, when it was meeting you for the first time. Is drawing on a journal the same as urban sketching and sketching? What are the differences?
Um, you know, urban sketchers, they tend to, I mean, as far as I understand, I've actually never really technically been to a meetup. Um, there is some rules, you know, you draw from life, you draw in the moment, you work quickly. Um,
That's an urban sketcher.
yeah,
Okay.
and that's as I understand it. Um, it's, you know, a little different or similar. There's similarities to just, you know, painting in plein air.
Mhm.
You know, you're with the elements, the wind is blowing,
And you're in
the
front of the thing.
you're
Okay.
in front of the thing, the light is changing, people are moving, you know. Um, yeah, but as I see it as quicker.
Okay.
You know, what I do is like a mix because sometimes I'll draw from life or I'll sketch from life, but then I'll take a backup photo so that I can reference it later and finish later.
Okay.
Um, I push myself to work quicker so that I don't have to reference the photo very much. Um, and sometimes I really like I'm drawing from a photo reference, like
Okay.
really
Okay.
from a photo. So I try and print it so that I'm not staring at my phone or my screen. Wait, I lost the train. Wait, what was the question?
That was the difference between an
Oh
urban
yeah.
sketching and drawing in your journal.
Yeah. Um, I mean,
Yes.
it's
Mhm.
all related. It's all similar.
It's all similar.
Some, you know, I would say urban sketchers, I do think they have like sort of rules. I have no
Okay.
rules. There's
Okay.
no one, you know, there's no right way to draw your adventures. Like I don't, I'm not telling anybody what to do.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
which sometimes, you know, it's helpful to have rules. So it's good and bad because
Mhm.
sometimes giving people too much freedom, they really want to know the rules. They really like, how do I do this? Um, so anyway, I don't know
Mhm.
if I
So
totally
that's the
answered your
difference.
question.
Yes. No, no, because I started Googling and then I was asking, is this journaling? Is this sketching? Is this drawing? Or or is urban sketching?
Yeah,
So
my practice is all of the above.
all the above. Yes.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
of the above. You know, sometimes people really are in, you know, they have their morning pages if they're doing like
Mm-hmm.
you know, a heavy journal practice.
Yes.
And or they just have gotten accustomed so much to writing their memories out in it through words.
Mm-hmm.
So then you just incorporate some little bits of drawing and color to that,
Exactly.
you know, so that's valid too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and some people, like some of my pages are just one image.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have lots of
A
little,
little bit. Yes.
yeah. So
It's
there's
a
it like
mix.
for me, it changes every day. So I want other people to feel empowered to do whatever they want.
No,
So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And yes, I think that's the best. Now I understand.
okay.
Definitely. So now I have a question, not related to drawing per se, but to help other artists promote their work. So because that's an important part of being an artist. So what's one business or promotion strategy you follow that have worked the best for you and your work?
Promotion?
Uh-huh.
Well, for me, I mean, it started with Instagram, and Instagram has changed so much. But the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I will say I've always been is completely true to myself. I don't follow rules or do things for algorithm or, you know, perform and video myself and make cute reels. I mean, I do them sometimes, but in my own way.
Yes.
And for me, that's worked because I feel like sometimes social media can strip away people's uniqueness,
Yes, yes,
like
yes, yes. We
trying
try
too
to
hard.
adapt to whatever they do, and then we lose ourselves in the way.
You loot totally, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And the only thing that I've ever adjusted is personal things,
Mm-hmm.
sharing too much personal things, because I'm in a sense sharing my diary every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes that's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be careful about privacy. I have to be careful about my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to get political, or I don't want to get,
Yes.
um,
Exactly.
whatever. So I'm just sometimes either don't share because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not comfortable with it, or I've like only shown a portion of a page or something
Exactly.
like that. So, you just want to be careful that you're not creating
The
for social
algorithm.
media.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We have to
Um,
be also very intentional.
yeah. But again, did I answer the question? I mean,
Yes, that for
social
promotion,
media.
Instagram, and being more and being you, not allowing
Yeah.
yourself
I
to get.
mean,
Hmm.
you know, and it's interesting because you said, now I understand. Like my practice and what I do and what I share is not always so clear. Like
Hmm.
I kind of do different things all the time, and I
Hmm.
play and I experiment. And, sometimes I'll share like a job that I did because I
Hmm.
actually have clients too,
Yes, yes,
Um, and so sometimes, I do think that people aren't quite exactly sure what I do or how,
yes.
um, and so,
But that's what makes you you. That's what makes
exactly, like
you
I feel like if you want to figure it out, you will, because
mhm,
or not. Like everything changes and evolves, and
all
I'm
the
not
time.
one I'm not one thing, but so I just think staying true to yourself
Yes,
is
yeah.
so important.
Yes, I think it's a great advice. And with social media changing like every week, it's like that's impossible to follow. Like,
Possible, yeah.
yeah.
I
So,
Yeah.
no, that my
So
next question goes through that same area. So many artists live from selling their work, but if your work is on a journal or a sketchbook, how could you make money from it? I'm not sure if this is the best way to ask this, but I always think, okay, painters, they can grab the painting and sell it. How do you do with sketching on a journal?
yeah, I was just telling somebody this morning. So I don't really make work. I don't really make money selling original work. Every once in a while I will. Sometimes I make paintings outside of my sketchbook. Um, and sometimes I'll sell prints. But it's a very small part of what I do. Um, the sketchbooks have always been for me, and they've always sort of helped me grow as an artist, so that then I can take that to jobs, I can take it to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I would say that 60 or so percent of, at this point, my income comes from teaching in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Royalties from random things that I've put out there and that I make money on, and including my books, is
Mm-hmm.
another
Art.
percentage, another part. And then I do have clients. Sometimes I don't have any. I just did a job for Criterion. I
Like
just
a
got
graphic design job?
It was design, but it was illustration. I was
Okay,
doing a cover for one of their an old
okay.
film. And then I just got asked to do um some drawings for a cookbook. I actually passed on it because they didn't have enough budget, you know, so.
Exactly. The money doesn't come from the sketchbook per se, but from the other things like
But people
teaching
find me through those
through
drawings.
the sketchbooks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
So, yeah, and it's interesting how, you know, when I say teaching, like I have all these Skillshare classes.
Mhm.
So I make money, for those, and it's nice as an artist, as much as you can, to put things out there that you can earn money on while you sleep. You know,
Mhm. Yes.
and it's just royalties. So,
Yes. Yeah.
there's a lot of that and a lot of teaching.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you know, I wanted to get the right jobs a little
Mhm.
bit more.
Yes, because
Like
we have just this time.
yeah,
We have just, yes, I wish we had more time in our
yeah,
day, but yes. Okay, so, okay, now I understand that part too. And that's, yes, that's,
and my books, you know,
and your books.
this
And now talking about your books, you're on book number 4. Are you
yeah.
already planning the number 5?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. I love the writing part and the making part. So I would welcome it. I could keep making books. But I have to just
Take a
one
break.
step at a time.
Yes,
I usually
yes.
have like two or so years between each book. So,
Okay,
you
okay.
know,
And when is Draw Your Adventures coming out? I saw you publish somewhere the cover. So
yeah,
when can we get it?
July 15th.
July 15. So can we look for it on Amazon or it will be through your website?
Anywhere. You can find it on my website. If you go to my Substack, there's a post that is, you know, I have I have sort of front and center that shares the cover story in
Okay,
the book, and the cover, and also shares a little bit of the process of the cover, like my original sketch and things
okay.
like that.
Oh.
And but yeah, you can find it on Amazon. Just search my name
And
and
then we can be there on a wait list.
yeah. Yeah, and pre-orders are so important for authors.
Of
So
course, that's the best way
yeah,
to know.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So
okay, so. Mhm.
please order, please. That'd be great.
Yes, we'll go there for sure. And so this is great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. So I will share this interview with everybody so they can get to know you a little bit more. And I hope to see a lot of people for your workshop in May, the Today Painting Workshop or Drawing Workshop with you,
Yes,
Draw Your Adventures.
yes.
So,
And
and
I
I
do
will.
paint. They come together. I hadn't talked about that, but I do paint. So
I know you paint. You put,
there's
yes,
a
and
lot.
I've seen
We
it.
talked about the pencil and the pen, but we didn't get to the paint, but I do paint. So
That's true. What medium do you use in your journals for painting?
mostly watercolor, but gouache also. And I love these Derwent. I always have the Derwent Inktense paints.
What
Um,
are those? Is
it's well they're it's ink, but in a solid pan form.
you can
Um,
use with a brush?
it's like watercolor, but the nice thing about them is that you can layer them and get them much more opaque and
Oh,
build on them, and they don't re-wet. So you
oh,
know how watercolor, like if you
yes,
can get muddy and you know,
yes.
so but these dry flat, and so you just
You
can.
can put another layer on top.
Mhm. But
Oh,
they're more translucent than gouache, so it's interesting.
what is the name? Ink,
They're Inktense,
Inktense.
Derwent Inktense paints.
Inktense. Okay, Inktense paint. Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
they're
cool.
known for their pencils, the Inktense pencils that are water soluble. But this is the paint pan form.
Okay,
I
okay.
love them. I've sold so many of these. I use them
Oh.
all the time.
And I love that it's tiny, that if you travel, you can take that with you and one brush and then,
Yeah, and the water brushes, the Derwent brushes are my favorite. So
you put water in them. It's not a brush, but you fill them with water.
yeah, so you
Okay.
know, because I'm drawing and on the go so much,
Uh-huh.
I draw in cafes, I draw wherever I am.
Yes.
Everything is like nice,
Ready to
better
go.
to have portable things. So
Okay.
I have beautiful brushes, um, you know, but they're in my studio.
Yes, and you use the other ones when you go around.
Yeah, and then I
Okay.
have like fancier water, but but when I'm running around, it's so
That's your
easy.
kit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to check that out. So yes, and I'm going to put the names of the ones that you said, like the name of the journal, the ink, and this one. I will try to put it all wherever I put this video. I will put it in YouTube.
Okay.
So I will
Yeah,
try
and
to put
link to the Substack, because if people do want to join the paid tier, I mean, my mailing list is very big and you'll get all my emails.
Mhm,
But if you do want to join the smaller community where I teach and
mhm.
I
And
have
tell
the
all your
special posts
supplies. Mhm.
and all the supply, like there's special posts that are for paid subscribers, and I
Yes.
don't charge very much. I don't, but then, that's where you'll find everything that I love.
Okay. Yes, I'll put all this. Yes, after we finish this talk, you give me all those links and I will add them to the
Okay,
recording. So
perfect.
this has been fantastic. I
Yay, thank
can't wait to
you.
meet you in person in May here in
Me
Apex, North
too.
Carolina. And to anybody wanted to register for her workshop, go to Painting Miles shop and then you'll find her workshop there. Draw Your
I-
Adventures with Samantha Dion Baker. So
Yes,
have a
thank you.
wonderful day
There's only
and
a few spots left, right? We're
we
getting,
have 4 more spots.
yeah.
4 more. Yes.
Okay.
So looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. You too. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.